There is someone in your life, or someone who used to be in your life, who is sitting somewhere right now, replaying moments, rereading old messages, thinking about who you were to them and what they did with that. They regret it, not in the way people say they regret things to get you back, in the quiet, private 3 a.m. way that nobody performs for an audience. And you, for the first time, are not waiting for that regret to reach you. You are not looking back. And today, heaven is going to tell you exactly why that is the most powerful position you have ever stood in. There is a moment that changes everything, not a loud moment, not a moment that announces itself with drama or ceremony or the kind of clarity that makes decisions easy. A quiet moment, an interior moment, a moment that happens somewhere deep inside you, below the level of thought, below the level of feeling, in a place so fundamental to who you are that when it shifts, everything above it shifts too. The moment you stop looking back, you know the moment I am describing. Maybe it has already happened for you. Maybe you are standing in the aftermath of it right now, slightly stunned by your own stillness, by the quiet where the ache used to be. Or maybe you are right on the edge of it. Maybe you are reading this in a season where you can feel something inside you preparing to release, preparing to let go of the backward pull that has held you in place for longer than you want to admit. Either way, this message is for you, because heaven has something very specific to say about this moment, about what it means, about who you are on the other side of it, and about the people who are sitting somewhere right now in their own quiet, feeling the weight of what they lost when they lost you. Let me start at the beginning. You loved someone, or you were deeply connected to someone, with the full force of everything you carry. And what you carry is not ordinary. We have established this. You feel deeply. You give completely. You show up for people in ways that go far beyond what is required, far beyond what most people are capable of, far beyond what the relationship even asked of you. You gave to this person from the deepest parts of yourself, parts that you do not open for everyone, parts that you protected carefully until you decided, or until God allowed you to be convinced, that this person was worth opening them for. And they were careless with what you gave them. Maybe not intentionally, maybe not with malice. People can be careless with precious things without understanding the value of what they are handling. They can take for granted the kind of love and presence and loyalty and depth that you offered, simply because they have never experienced anything like it before, and therefore have no reference point for how rare it is. They can let it go, through neglect, through taking it for granted, through choosing something smaller or something easier or something that required less of them, without understanding, until it is gone, exactly what they were letting go of. And now they understand. Now, in the absence of you, in the silence that replaced your presence, in the ordinary of their days, without the extraordinary of who you are in them, they understand. And it is too late. Not because you are a person who cannot forgive. You can forgive. You have forgiven. The forgiveness is real and it is yours, and it has already been doing its work in you, quietly, in the background of your healing. This is not a message about bitterness or about holding on to pain or about the satisfaction of someone finally getting what they deserve. This is a message about something entirely different. This is a message about who you become when you finally stop organizing your life around people who did not treat you as if you were irreplaceable, when in fact you were. When you finally stop waiting at a door that God closed. When you finally turn your face fully forward and walk in the direction that heaven has been pointing you toward for a very long time. This is a message about the chosen one who does not go back. And I need to tell you why that decision, the decision not to go back, is not just an emotional milestone. It is a spiritual one. It is not just about protecting your heart. It is about honoring your assignment. It is not just about self-respect, though it is absolutely about self-respect. It is about obedience. It is about trusting God enough to leave what He has closed and walk toward what He is opening, even when the thing He closed still pulls at you, even when the familiar ache of it is louder some mornings than the promise of what is ahead. Let me talk about why God allows the people who hurt us to eventually reach the place of regret. This is something that confuses many chosen ones, because when you are in the middle of the pain, when you are in the season immediately after the loss, when the wound is fresh and everything hurts and the absence of that person is physical in its intensity, you sometimes wonder if God even noticed. You wonder if the person who was careless with you is being held accountable for anything. You wonder if the love you gave, the sacrifices you made, the parts of yourself you opened are simply going to float away into nothing, unrecognized, uncelebrated, unreturned. They are not. God notices everything that happens to his chosen ones. He does not float above the details of your relational life with divine indifference. He is present in every moment of it. And when someone handles carelessly what he placed inside you, when they take for granted the love and depth and loyalty that he built into you specifically, he does not overlook it. He does not file it away as insignificant. He allows the full weight of what was given and what was wasted to come to rest on the person who wasted it. Not as punishment exactly, but as revelation, as the natural consequence of loss becoming fully visible when it is too late to reverse. That is what regret is. It is the moment when the value of what was discarded becomes undeniable. And the people in your life who have reached that moment, who are sitting in the quiet of their own lives, feeling the specific heaviness of having had something irreplaceable and having let it go, they are not in that place because of coincidence. They are in that place because God allowed them to come to the end of themselves. To come to the place where the distraction or the comfort or the easier thing they chose instead of you has revealed itself for what it was. Insufficient, unable to fill the space that you occupied, unable to provide what you provided, unable to be what you were. And they are sitting with that. You do not need to do anything with their regret. You do not need to make it easier for them. You do not need to rush to absolve them or reassure them or reopen the door to spare them the discomfort of sitting in what they chose. That discomfort is doing something in them that nothing else could do. It is teaching them something about value, about depth, about the difference between ordinary and extraordinary that they could not have learned any other way. Let them sit with it, because your job in this season is not to manage their process. Your job in this season is to walk forward. Now I want to talk to you about the pull. Because I would be doing you a disservice if I stood here and told you that not going back is easy, that the decision to turn your face forward and keep it there is simple, that the familiarity of what was, even the painful parts of what was, does not sometimes feel more bearable than the uncertainty of what is ahead. The pull is real. It is not weakness that you feel it. It is not a failure of healing or a lack of progress or evidence that you are not as far along in your recovery as you thought. It is human. It is the natural gravitational pull of the known. The brain and the heart both have a tendency to reach toward the familiar, even when the familiar was harmful, because the familiar is predictable and the unknown, however full of promise it might be, is not. But here is what the pull is not. The pull is not God. When you feel drawn back towards something that God has already closed, toward a person who showed you who they were, toward a situation that drained you, toward a version of yourself that was smaller and more apologetic and more willing to accept less than you deserve, that pull is not the voice of heaven. It is the voice of habit, the voice of unhealed attachment. Sometimes it is the voice of the enemy who knows that the fastest way to delay your forward movement is not to put an obstacle in front of you, but to make what is behind you look more appealing than it is. God's voice, when he speaks about the people and seasons he has closed, does not produce longing. It produces peace. A settled, quiet, forward-facing peace that says that chapter is complete. What it gave you, the lessons, the growth, the clarity about what you need and what you will no longer accept, those are yours to keep. What it cost you is finished costing you. And where you are going is better than where you have been. That peace is available to you right now. Not the performed peace that says, I am fine when you are not. The real kind. The kind that arrives when you fully release your grip on what was and open your hands to what is coming. Let me tell you about the specific things that happen in the life of a chosen one when they finally fully turn their face forward. The first thing that happens is clarity. An extraordinary, almost startling clarity about your own identity, about what you want, about what you will no longer accept, about the specific qualities and the specific kind of depth and the specific standard of treatment that you now require from any person who wants to be close to you. This clarity is not arrogance. It is not bitterness dressed up as standards. It is the natural result of having paid a high enough price for your self-knowledge that you are no longer willing to sell it at a discount. You know who you are now in a way you did not know before the loss. The loss, as terrible as it was, as much as it cost you, revealed you to yourself. It showed you what you were capable of loving. It showed you what you were capable of surviving. It showed you the depth of your own resilience and the breadth of your own worth in a way that being comfortable never could have. That knowledge is permanent. Nobody can take it from you. And the person who walks forward carrying that kind of self-knowledge, the chosen one who has been through the fire and knows their own name on the other side of it, that person is magnetic in a way that is difficult to explain and impossible to manufacture. There is something in the way they move through the world, a quality of settled assurance, a gentle but unmistakable sense of someone who knows their worth without needing to announce it. Someone who is fully present in their own life rather than organizing themselves around the absence of someone who left. That is who you are becoming. That is who you already are, if you will only stop looking back long enough to see it. Welcome back, chosen one. Let me continue with what happens when you turn your face fully forward. The second thing that happens when a chosen one stops looking back is that the spiritual atmosphere around them changes. This is not metaphor. This is not poetic language designed to make a point more beautifully than the literal truth would allow. This is a real, observable, spiritually significant shift in the environment that surrounds your life. When you are pulled backward, when a portion of your spiritual energy is continually directed toward what was, toward the person who left, toward the relationship that ended, toward the door that God closed, that energy is not available for what is ahead. It is occupied, diverted, held in the past by the invisible tether of unresolved attachment. But when you release it, when you genuinely, fully, from the deepest part of yourself, turn your face toward the future that God is building, something remarkable happens. All of that energy comes back online. All of those spiritual resources that were locked in looking backward become available for moving forward. And the effect of that release on the spiritual atmosphere around you is immediate and significant. Things begin to move. Doors that have been closed begin to open. Not because the doors changed, because you changed. Because the version of you that approaches those doors is no longer half present, no longer carrying the weight of an unresolved past, no longer operating from a position of lack because of what was lost. You approach those doors as a whole person, a present person, a person whose hands are open and whose eyes are forward and whose spirit is fully available for what God is trying to give. God can do so much more with a fully present person than he can with a divided one. The third thing that happens is that the right people begin to arrive. This is perhaps the most beautiful consequence of not going back. And I want to describe it carefully because I want you to understand the specific quality of the connections that come when you are fully released from the ones that were not right. They feel different, not just emotionally different, spiritually different. There is an ease to them that the difficult connections never had. Not the ease of surface-level interaction where nobody is truly known, but the ease of two people who are actually aligned, who see each other clearly without needing the other person to be something they are not, who bring out the best version of each other simply by being present, who do not require you to shrink or perform or explain or apologize for your depth, who meet you at your level, or who are on a journey toward that level, and who recognize in you something that they have been searching for without knowing exactly what to call it. These connections are not available to you while you are still reaching backward. They are on the other side of the release. They are waiting at the end of the forward path. And the moment you fully commit to that path, the moment you stop treating it as a backup plan and start treating it as the actual direction of your life, those connections begin to materialize. God has been holding them in place, keeping them just out of reach until the season of looking backward is finished, because he knows, with the foreknowledge that belongs only to him, that the right people in your life at the wrong time, before you are ready to receive them properly, is almost as costly as the wrong people at any time. He was protecting the right connections by waiting for you to be ready. You are ready. Now I want to speak directly to something that the enemy has been using against you in this season. Something specific and strategic that he deploys against chosen ones at exactly the moment when they are about to fully release the past and step into the future. He uses memory, Not random memory, curated memory, the specific, carefully selected recollection of the best moments of what was, the moments when things were good, when the person who hurt you was the version of themselves that you fell in love with, that you believed in, that you built your hope around, the moments before the patterns revealed themselves, the moments that felt like promises. He brings those memories to you in your weakest hours, in the 3 a.m. quiet, in the moment when the loneliness is sharpest, in the instant when the future feels uncertain and the past, with all its familiarity and all its comfort, feels like something solid to hold on to. And he whispers, "Remember this? Remember how good it was? Are you sure you should walk away from this? Are you sure the future will be better? Are you sure you are not making a mistake that you will spend years regretting?" I need you to know what to do when that voice speaks. You acknowledge the memory. You do not fight it. You do not pretend it is not real, or that the good moments were fabricated, or that the love was not genuine. It was genuine. The good moments were real. The love you felt was real. Acknowledging that is not weakness, it is honesty. And then you hold it next to the full picture. Not just the curated highlights that the enemy selected, the full picture, the patterns that revealed themselves, the ways you were diminished or dismissed or made to feel like too much when you were never too much. The times you compromised yourself trying to make the relationship work and found that the compromising was never enough. The cost, the real, documented, felt cost of staying in something that was not built to hold you. Hold both of those things, the good and the full truth, and then make your decision from the place of the full truth rather than from the place of the curated memory. Because the enemy does not show you the full picture, God does. And God's full picture of what that relationship was, and more importantly, of what it was costing you to stay in it, is the picture he is asking you to trust. Now let me talk about the specific word that heaven has for you regarding the people who regret losing you. They are not bad people. I want to say that clearly because it matters for your healing. The people who were careless with you, who took you for granted, who let you go when they should have held on, they are not villains. They are people who operated at the level of awareness they had at the time, who made choices from a place of limitation, limited emotional development, limited spiritual maturity, limited understanding of what they were handling. They did not know what they had. And that is a genuinely sad thing, not because you should feel sorry for them in a way that reopens the door, but because it is true, and truth, even when it is about people who hurt us, deserves to be held with accuracy. And because understanding this, understanding that their carelessness was born from limitation rather than from intentional cruelty, is one of the things that makes it possible for you to move forward without bitterness, without carrying the weight of having been truly, deliberately, maliciously wronged by someone who knew exactly what they were doing. Most of the time, they did not know. And the regret they carry now is the beginning of their own education, their own growth, their own journey toward becoming someone who will recognize extraordinary love when it is offered to them and honor it. That is their path, not yours. Your path is ahead. And I want to paint a picture for you of what that path looks like, not in vague spiritual terms, in real, felt, lived terms, because you deserve to be able to see where you are going. Ahead of you is a version of your life where you are fully known, not performing, not editing, not translating yourself into something more digestible for someone who cannot hold your real dimensions. Fully, completely, accurately known. By people who chose you with their eyes open to exactly who you are, the depth and the intensity and the sensitivity and the complexity and the extraordinary capacity for love that you carry, and who celebrate all of it, who consider themselves fortunate to be in your life rather than burdened by the weight of your realness. Ahead of you is a version of your relationships where reciprocity is not something you have to beg for or strategize for or grieve the absence of, where the people around you show up for you the way you show up for them, not perfectly, but genuinely, with effort, with intention, with an awareness of what you need and a willingness to provide it. Ahead of you is a version of yourself that is so settled in your own identity, so grounded in the knowledge of your worth, so clear about who you are and what you carry and where you are going, that the opinion of the people who once made you doubt yourself carries no weight at all, not because you became hard or closed or defended, but because you became so genuinely rooted in who God made you to be that there is nothing for insecurity to attach to. That version of you is not a distant fantasy, it is the next chapter, and the only thing standing between you and the first page of that chapter is the willingness to stop looking at the last one. So here is what I am asking you to do today, not tomorrow, not after you have processed it more or thought about it more or waited to see if the old connection reaches back out. Today, make the decision in the interior of your life, in the place that is more real than any conversation you will have out loud, the place where you and God meet without any performance between you. Go to that place and make this declaration: I am not going back, not because I am angry, not because I stopped caring, not because I am pretending the past did not matter or that the love was not real, but because I trust the God who closed that chapter. I trust that what He is building ahead of me is better than what He allowed to end behind me. I trust that the people who regret losing me are being allowed to feel that regret for reasons that belong to their own journey and that are not my responsibility to resolve. I trust that my life, full, forward-facing, fully alive, is the greatest response I can give to every season that tried to convince me I was less than I am. I am not going back. I am not looking back. And what is ahead of me? What heaven has prepared for the version of me that chose to walk forward is worth every step of the walk. Go, chosen one. The people who regret losing you are looking at a closed door. You are walking toward an open one. Do not look back.